You had fun listening to that? I had fun playing it. Now, let me tell you about why I'm versatile. It's because I just loved, when I was a kid, I loved every single kind of music. I like pop music, I like classical music, I was fascinated with everything musical. And so, I grew up in a normal family, and my mom and dad said, well, as long as you practice for your lessons, you can play whatever else you want. And so, from the very, very get-go, I was listening to records, playing music, and this is something that's really important these days because culture has changed. If you at all can get together with your friends in a room or at somebody else's house and play music together and hang out like when you hang out and play football or a swim team, if you can find a way to hang out together and play music together where somebody plays the bass, you don't even have to be good at the instrument. The idea is just to play together as friends, but just making music. And that's all it is. And you just keep doing that, and keep doing that, and keep doing that, and then somebody stops and says, can we change this a little bit? Can we change that? I say, okay, cool, we'll change that. And somebody else says, stop. So what happened is, through my school years in Newcastle, Pennsylvania, it's on the other side of the Ohio border, I just kept doing the same thing. I kept playing with my friends. Everybody in the community was like, who's this crazy kid? Everybody would start asking me to play little shows for them. So I would do little shows, mixing up pop music and classical music. And then I would also play in churches, I would play with my friends. So it was like really, really natural. And then I met Karen Dusek, my good friend Bob, when I went to school in Rochester, at Eastman. Let me tell you about other things. Let me talk about music that really made an impression on me. What the things that excited me about music. It was like the things that excited me about ideas. And the basic message is what brings us all together. What brings us together instead of separates us? Okay, so I was about 8 years old, 7 years old. The piece of music that I'm going to play on Saturday is called Rhapsody in Blue. And when I was growing up, even then, people were saying, well, you can't do classical and you can't do pop all at the same time. You have to pick. I said, no, I don't. Because I like all the different people. See? And so, when I heard, my dad had good taste in music, he worked at a factory, we had a nice record collection. So when I heard this piece of George Gershwin, I didn't even know who that was, his Rhapsody in Blue, I was like, my goodness, it's bringing these worlds together. It's bringing jazz and pop and classical playing together. And this is the story I always loved about my dad. He's still alive. We're like brothers. He was working on the washing machine down in the basement, one of those little cold basements. And I was a little kid. And I went downstairs. They said, "Hey, Dad, can I have $4?" And it was a lot of money. When I was growing up, he goes, "What do you want $4 for?" It was kind of funny. I said, "Well, I want to go down to Donato's Music and I want to buy a copy of Rhapsody in Blue." And he goes, "Oh, cool. Here's your $4. It's the greatest story when I get a chance. And so, You know, and so this piece of music, the Rhapsody in Blue, is the first piece of music that I heard that brought together classical playing, blues music, jazz music. And this is why it's so special this time of year. It's been 100 years now since George Gershwin wrote this piece. I'm going to play some themes from it for you. And here's the story of how he wrote it. George Gershwin was such a genius. He sketched it out, and he was on the train coming back in New York, and he was listening to the train wheels. So he put that rhythm into his music. Right from the sound of the train, and then his imagination went into some tunes, and he wrote the whole thing in his head and sketched it out, and went there the next night and played it. He had one of his friends orchestrate it for him, and then he basically made up this part, but after he made up this part, he said, okay, now I'm going to write it out for real. And he wrote out the exact piano parts that he wanted. So I want to just give you a little tour through the Rhapsody in Blue and show you what the main themes are, and just talk to you about why it blends, you know, popular music with classical music. It was the first piece of its kind. And like I said, when I was a kid and I heard it, I was like, somebody's bringing everything together. You know, it's not separated into over here and you're in this world and it's just like, we're all in one world together. Because I'm that kind of person. I just want to be in one world with everybody in the community. So that's my personal philosophy, and it's also how I am musically. So that's why the piece turned me on so much. So here's a little bit of Rhapsody in Blue. I'm going to watch the clock. I want to do good. So, you know, Gershwin was known for writing all kinds of hit songs. One of his first major hit songs was Swan. Classical and pop music, but the people were used to listening to music that had some melody to it, that had some harmony to it, and that had some key change. So something as simple as Swanee, it could have been written by Mozart. It wasn't the old blues stuff yet, because the blues came from the South, and they came from Detroit, they came from all over the place. It wasn't. thing that came out of ragtime, just like classical music. And he put different accents in it to make it sound like it was dance music, because the popular music of the day, back in the 30s and the 40s and the 20s, just like in this day, it was just dance music. So. All I'm doing there now with my right hand is I'm playing some syncopations. Here's 1, 2, 3, 4. And all I'm doing is I'm moving that second note over a little bit so it's syncopated. 1, 2, 3. That changes everything. Okay, so Gershwin in the Rhapsody in Blue said, well, I have to write some music. And the first idea I think he came up with is this syncopation idea. That's it. It's like. And he took all this material and he made up all these variations on it. Things that you have heard in the music, and then a lot of people will recognize that United Airlines years ago, they took Gershwin's main melody, which was. Flying from the skies. So, in the Rhapsody, he wrote out the whole first part, where he was using all this other material. He had a friend, Paul Whiteman, who was an orchestrator and a band leader, and Gershwin didn't know what to do for the second part of this piece. He said, I need a theme. I need a different theme than just, this train-like sounding music. And Paul Whiteman said, you have that whole tune from this other thing you did. Why don't you use that one? And that one went this way. So basically, Gershwin said, okay, I'll use that one in the second half of the piece. So the whole first half of the piece starts out with a famous, this hasn't been done before, but this is the way Ben Goodman used to play, a famous clarinet, glissando, that is just brash. The clarinet's not stopping there going, it does this big slide up. It's very bold. And then. Now, here's the thing about Gershwin. The very beginning of the piece is the very same way that it ends. It ends. Bookends the tune in the same key, clarinet. And then it's at home. I'll do this and change it. This is the orchestra part. Next tune with the trombone. it's jazzy sounding music, but it's like this. It's like some kind of jazzed up Chopin already. And then the piano part, the first piano solo is. What does he do? Surprise. And that's how he follows it. So George Gershwin used his instincts, musical instincts, like this is what has to come next, this is what has to come next, this is what has to come next. And it's a brilliant piece of music. And when I heard it, when I heard a composer basically writing out an improvisation that was just brilliant, that mixed jazz and classical music, I was like, that's the direction I want to go. I want to be like that guy. You know, because I believe everything can come together musically. Let me play what I'll do is I'll play a real short version of the Rhapsody in Blue, because what I'll do is, because all the different elements of it float around in my head, like it's like a whole piece, but I could pick and choose from the different parts of it and put it together like in a little 5-minute synopsis. It's like taking a book that's written, this is how it goes just so, but here's your cliff notes. So this is going to be a little cliff note Gershwin, Rhapsody in Blue. How's that sound? Gershwin cliff notes, Rhapsody cliff notes. Okay, just for a little bit. I have no idea which sections I'm going to pick. They're floating around up there, and like I said, you stay there, you get your chance, and I'll give you a cliff note version of Rhapsody in Blue.
comes the love song. Trains. And then Gershwin loved, I think he liked microphones too.
Gershwin loved Cuban music. It was based on this one